The Coal Transporters Forum approached the Pretoria High Court to stop Eskom from signing any new renewable energy power purchase agreements. It believes that using independent power producers will lead to job losses in the sector. It wants the court and government departments to review implementation of IPP contracts. Earlier this year, the forum caused traffic to come to a standstill in Pretoria during a go-slow in protest against looming job losses. Mary Phadi from CTF joins me in studio now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. What's the status of your case at the moment?
Hi, good day, Nzinga and the viewers of SABC 3. At the moment, we are having a court case on the 29th of September, and it is going all right. We are receiving the feedback from the people that we've interdicted for the case of the IPPs, the independent power producer.
What is your gripe with independent power producers when it comes to coal?
You know, it's going to create unintended consequences which will lead to job losses. You know, our take is that, you know, introduces, but it should not affect the market we are in. We still have coal for the next 300 years. And if you introduce power producer, then it means people are going to lose employment. We will be out of business. The power stations are going to close. 5 power stations are intended to close. And a lot of people, more than 30,000 people are going to lose their job. And therefore, these towns will turn into a ghost town.
There was a report done that said by 2020, the amount and quality of coal is going to decrease in South Africa. With our water shortages and the depth of coal reserve, it'll be much more difficult to extract coal. So there's other factors besides IPP that are going to hamper coal. What are you doing as a foundation to try and ensure that you look at other solutions, because job losses are going to happen whether it comes from IPP or the scarcity and difficulty in getting coal?
No, there's quite a lot. We are saying to the government, bring anything that will not worsen the unemployment. In other words, you can look at the energy, you know, bring in another type of energy that will be able to assist, you know, in South Africa. It doesn't mean that the IPPs are the ceiling or are the only producer or power producer that we can have in South Africa. We can bring other things. Competition is good, but it mustn't come with the consequences of worsening the situation that we have in this country. Last week, we heard that 53% of the people in South Africa are living with poverty. Why bring more on something that is not worth it? So as it goes, when we don't have coal at a later stage, then we can look at other things that we can work on, you know, to benefit the country.
And how do you balance the use of coal with South Africa's climate change response, which is saying we need to move towards more green energy, more renewable energy, with the fact that coal is not going to be perhaps the best thing for the environment?
Look, we need coal, and the study shows that, you know, the more coal we have, the better it is. But the only thing that we need to understand is let's get a mechanism that will be reduce that pollution if we have a concern of the pollution in this country.
Okay, and now you've said that Eskom would face 700 billion rand in contingent liabilities if IPP deals go ahead. How did you come up with that number, and explain it a little bit more to us?
Because the demand of coal used to generate electricity will reduce by about 10 million tons per year in 2021. That's the reason, that's how we came with that figure. It means that the government will be providing guarantees, and those guarantees will be destroying the jobs, and therefore, at the moment, we don't need more electricity. This is what we found as the Coal Transporters Forum, to say there's no need for us to increase on the electricity that we have.
Have you engaged with IPPs? Because it's almost like this in the same way that you're saying we always are going to need coal, green energy and IPPs are not going to go away. They are part of the future of the energy mix in the country. And I think you need a balance, because you can't be reliant solely on one. So what engagement, if any, have you had with IPPs?
We are not engaging with the IPPs, because our stand is that the president has announced that they are signing IPPs. And therefore, we are communicating with the government, not with the IPPs. They are the private company. And for us, there's no need. We are in competition. If IPP comes to place, 5 power stations are going to close, towns are going to be ghost towns, people won't have employment. For us, we are looking after the interest of everybody that is in Mpumalanga. And IPPs, on the other hand, are looking after the interest of how much money they can make. Already Eskom is sitting at minus 9 billion that they still have to pay the IPPs. So if you sign more, they get more into debt. And how can you buy something expensive and pay it at a lesser rate? So for us, there's no need for us to meet with the IPP companies because they are privately owned. So as with the coal transporters, privately owned, but we are fighting for our country to say that we cannot introduce something that is not going to benefit us.
I'm just thinking, I know you're saying you're in competition with them, of a solution. It's in order to save jobs. I'm sure that people who work in IPPs would not want to see jobs decimated and the things that you've described. So do you not think perhaps you need to go back and re-examine your stance and say, these people are always going to be here, we're always going to be here. How can we find ways to collaborate so there can be an energy mix that's not either or?
Nzinga, look, the IPPs are solars. Only one person goes to check if the solar is working and come back to the office, one person. We are talking about 30,000 people who are employed, about 6,000 people who are employed at the power stations, the street vendors. We are talking beyond that. And IPP, they are talking about 14,000 people. I'm not sure about their number, but about 14,000 people who will be able to make those solars. As soon as they are done, one person will go and check it. So how vis-a-vis, then which means something is not right there, right there.
Okay. When it comes to the Coal Transporters Forum, we've seen you before in the news doing that go slow, going to Pretoria to protest against this. What kind of engagements do you have with your members, and are they coming up with any other solutions, or is your stance, this is coal only and we don't want to hear anything else and we're not going to come up with any other solutions?
If we are consulted, if somebody comes to us to say, let's talk, we'll be able to talk. But at the moment, there's enough coal to generate electricity. And there's no need for us to bring in something that is not necessary. Let's really think about it. Why are they not then reducing their own price of the IPP price so that it can benefit Eskom? So this thing is simple, it's maths. When Eskom cannot pay IPPs, it's going to work at the loss and they are going to privatize Eskom the way they did with Sasol. So in other words, whatever that belongs to the government in this country is going to go away. And a lot of companies that we've seen on our list, that are on the IPP list, are not from South Africa. So the bottom line is that why are we investing to the people overseas and leave our own people in this country?
Mary Phadi from the Coal Transporters Forum, thanks so much for your time on SABC News.